What if the one character whose death shook Heartland to its very core suddenly returned in the final chapter? Imagine the impact if Ty Borden, the man who defined so much of the show's soul, reappeared in season 19's finale. Not as a ghost, not as a vague memory, but as a powerful presence that could change everything we thought we knew about Heartland's ending. Could this be the twist that brings fans back to the edge of their seats? From the very beginning, Ty Borden was not just another character on Heartland. He was the heartbeat of the series. His journey from a troubled young man to a loving partner and father wasn't just a storyline, it was the emotional backbone that millions of fans around the world connected to. When Ty died in season 14, it was more than just a plot twist. It felt like the foundation of the show had been ripped away. For many, Heartland without Ty seemed almost impossible to imagine. His sudden death, following the gunshot wound and the shocking blood clot, left viewers devastated. It was not just Amy's loss, it was a loss that fans carried in their own hearts. Over the seasons that followed, the show tried to heal that wound. Amy had to rebuild her life as a widow and a single mother. The audience watched her struggle, and some even found strength in her resilience. But for many, something was always missing. The chemistry between Amy and Ty, their bond, their love, it was irreplaceable. Every time Amy looked at Lindy, every time Jack or Lou spoke about moving forward, fans could still feel Ty's absence lingering in the background. Now, as season 19 approaches, the whispers of Ty's return have created waves of speculation. Graham Wardle himself has made peace with leaving, pursuing his own path outside of Heartland. But fans refuse to let go of the possibility that Ty could reappear in some form. And here lies the suspense. What if the finale of season 19, the season that could redefine the entire show, gave Ty one last unforgettable return? Not in a way that cheapens his death, but in a way that strengthens the very themes Heartland has always stood for: love, healing, and the enduring power of family. The question is, how would Ty's potential return impact not only Amy, but every single character that has carried the weight of his absence? Amy has grown stronger, yes, but she has also struggled to find her way without him. She has faced loneliness, heartbreak, and the challenge of raising Lindy while still figuring out who she is beyond her grief. If Ty were to come back, even briefly, the emotional shock would ripple through her entire story. Would it give her closure, or would it reopen the wounds she has fought so hard to heal? And what about Jack? For Jack, Ty was more than just Amy's husband. He was family. He saw Ty as a son, and losing him left a scar that no amount of time could erase. Jack has always been the pillar of strength on the ranch, but deep down, he has carried his grief quietly, choosing to focus on supporting Amy and Lindy. Ty's return, even in the finale, would bring out emotions Jack has buried for years. Would it remind him of the joy he once had, or would it shake him to his core all over again? Lou, too, would be affected. She has always tried to balance her own ambitions with the responsibility of holding her family together. Ty's death made her more protective of Amy, sometimes even too protective, and shaped the way she approached her role as a sister and a leader. If Ty appeared again, Lou would have to face the truth that no matter how much she tried to manage things, life has its own way of surprising us. And let's not forget Lindy. She has grown up without her father by her side, knowing him only through stories and photographs. For her, Ty's return, even in a vision or dream, could be the most powerful moment of all. It would give her something no one else could, the chance to feel connected to her father, to sense his love, and to understand the man who shaped so much of who Amy is. That single moment could define Lindy's future and the way she carries the Heartland legacy forward. The suspense of Ty's potential return lies in this. Heartland has always been about authenticity, about showing the real struggles and triumphs of life. Bringing Ty back in the finale would not be about undoing his death. It would be about acknowledging that love, once it touches your life, never truly disappears. It would be about giving Amy and the audience the reassurance that moving forward does not mean forgetting. And if done right, it could transform the season 19 finale into one of the most powerful, unforgettable moments in the show's history. The possibility of Ty's return in the season 19 finale is not just about shock value, it's about the emotional depth it could unlock. For years, Heartland has walked a fine line between hope and heartbreak, showing its audience that life can be both devastating and beautiful at the same time. If Ty were to reappear even briefly, it would serve as the ultimate reminder of why fans fell in love with this series in the first place. It would not simply be a twist, it would be a revelation. Think about Amy's journey since Ty's death. She has fought so hard to rebuild her life, not just for herself, but for Lindy. Her grief has shaped her choices, her relationships, and her outlook on the future. She has been strong, but that strength has come with scars. If the finale of season 19 were to give her a moment with Ty, it would not erase her pain, but it could give her something even more powerful: peace. A final conversation, a final look, a final blessing. That moment could define the rest of Amy's story, allowing her to move forward without guilt, without hesitation, and with a sense of wholeness that has been missing since season 14. But Amy is not the only one whose story would be transformed. The ripple effect of Ty's presence would touch every corner of Heartland. Jack, who has carried the weight of the family for so long, would finally see the circle close. His love for Ty was quiet but deep, and the chance to witness Ty's return, even if only in a vision, would bring out emotions that have remained hidden for years. For Jack, it would not be about rewriting the past, but about finding comfort in knowing that the bond he shared with Ty was eternal. Lou's reaction would be just as layered. She has always been practical, often the voice of reason, but underneath that exterior, she has carried her own grief for Ty. She knew how important he was to Amy, and she knew how much of a role model he was to Lindy. For Lou, seeing Ty again would be a reminder that family is not bound by time or death. It is something that lives on in every memory, every story, every lesson passed down. That is what makes Heartland resonate so strongly with its audience. It shows us that even when people leave, their influence never fades. And then there's Georgie. Her absence in season 18 was felt keenly, and fans have been eager for her return. Imagine if Georgie, who grew up with Ty as a guiding figure, were part of a storyline where Ty appeared again. For Georgie, Ty represented stability during her uncertain teenage years. He believed in her, encouraged her, and helped shape the confident young woman she became. A moment with Ty, even if it was symbolic, would reaffirm her connection to the Heartland family. It would remind her, and the audience, that she is still part of the story, still part of the legacy that Ty helped build. But perhaps the most heart-wrenching impact would be on Lindy. As Amy and Ty's daughter, she has always carried his presence in her blood, but never in her memories. A return in the finale, whether through a dream or a vision, would give her something no one else could: the chance to feel her father's love. That moment could shape her future, giving her confidence, strength, and a deep sense of belonging. It would also give fans closure, knowing that Lindy had the chance to experience, even briefly, the bond that was stolen from her too soon. Of course, there is another layer to this possibility: the audience itself. Heartland has always had one of the most loyal fan bases in television, and Ty's death was a turning point that left many viewers heartbroken. Some walked away, unable to continue without him, while others stayed, hoping the show would find a way to honor his memory. A return in season 19 would not only heal the characters within the story, but also heal the relationship between the show and its fans. It would send a message that Heartland understands the importance of Ty's legacy, that it values the emotional investment viewers have made for nearly 2 decades. And let's not forget the symbolism. Ty's journey has always been about redemption and transformation. He started as a troubled young man with a difficult past and became a loving husband, a devoted father, and a respected member of the Heartland family. His story was one of second chances, of proving that people can change, grow, and find peace. A final return in the season 19 finale would not just be about fan service, it would be the perfect closing chapter to that arc. It would be the ultimate proof that Ty's spirit lives on, guiding Amy, Lindy, and the rest of the family toward a future filled with hope. This is why the idea of Ty's return carries so much suspense. It's not about undoing the past or denying the pain of his loss. It's about weaving his presence back into the fabric of Heartland in a way that feels authentic, emotional, and deeply satisfying. The finale has the power to deliver that moment, to give both the characters and the audience the closure they have been waiting for. And if that happens, season 19 could go down as one of the most unforgettable chapters in Heartland's history. The real question that keeps fans restless is this: how could Ty return in season 19's finale? His death in season 14 was final, shocking, and deeply emotional. The writers made it clear he wasn't coming back in the usual sense. Yet, television has a way of surprising its audience, and Heartland has always left room for emotional twists that touch the soul. If Ty does appear again, it would have to be in a way that honors both his legacy and the realism of the show. That's what makes the possibilities so intriguing. One theory gaining attention is the use of flashbacks. Ty was such a central figure in Amy's life that revisiting their shared past could provide the closure both Amy and the fans need. These wouldn't be random or recycled clips, but carefully chosen moments that tie directly into Amy's struggles in the present. Imagine the finale showing Amy facing a huge decision, perhaps about her future with Nathan, or even about Lindy, and then cutting back to a scene from years ago when Ty's words of encouragement guided her. Such flashbacks wouldn't erase his death. Instead, they would reinforce how much his influence still shapes the lives of those he left behind. Another possibility lies in dream sequences. Heartland has rarely used this storytelling device, but when it has, it's been powerful. A dream could allow Amy to see Ty not as a ghost, but as her memory brings him back. Warm, reassuring, and real to her. In such a moment, Ty might not give her direct answers, but his presence could remind her of the strength they shared. Dreams often reflect the deepest parts of our hearts, and for Amy, a dream of Ty could symbolize her acceptance of the past while finding the courage to move forward. For the audience, it would feel like one last visit with a beloved character, wrapped in both sadness and beauty. Then there's the idea of Lindy's connection to her father. She never truly knew Ty, but children often have a way of sensing things beyond explanation. What if Lindy had a vision, a feeling, or even a dream of her father that she then shared with Amy? For viewers, this would be a deeply emotional moment. It would show that Ty's legacy is alive not just in Amy's memories, but in his daughter's heart. Lindy carrying Ty's spirit forward would be one of the most authentic and powerful ways the show could handle his return, making it not just about closure for Amy, but about hope for the next generation of Heartland. There's also the theory of unseen footage. Fans often wonder if the show has unused material from Graham Wardle's time on set. If the creators were to reveal never-before-seen clips of Ty in the finale, it could feel like a gift to the audience. It wouldn't require Graham's active return, but would still bring his presence back into the story in a meaningful way. Used sparingly, such footage could tie the past and present together, giving Amy and the viewers a sense of continuity that bridges the gap between Ty's life and the family's ongoing journey. Of course, some speculate about something even bolder, a spiritual return. Not a ghost in the traditional sense, but a symbolic presence. Ty appearing in a way that suggests he is watching over his family. Perhaps Amy, at her lowest point, feels him beside her, or Lindy senses his protection during a crucial moment. Heartland has always been rooted in realism, but it also embraces the magic of connection, the unexplainable bond between people and the land, between hearts and memories. A spiritual return would not break the rules of the show. Instead, it would amplify the themes that have defined it. Love that transcends time, family that never fades, and bonds that death cannot sever. What makes each of these possibilities so suspenseful is that none of them would undo Ty's death. That chapter has already been written, and the pain of it has already shaped every character in the story. But bringing him back, even in a limited and creative way, would allow the finale to balance two powerful truths: that life moves forward, and that love never dies. For Amy, it would mean she could finally embrace her future without feeling like she's betraying her past. For Lindy, it would mean carrying her father's presence into her own life. For Jack and Lou, it would mean finding peace in knowing that Ty's spirit is still part of their family. The brilliance of such a move lies in its ability to unify the fan base. Those who still grieve Ty would feel validated, while those who want Amy to move on could see her journey reach a new stage of acceptance. It would be a finale that bridges the gap between past and future, between heartbreak and hope. That's the kind of storytelling Heartland is known for, the kind that lingers long after the episode ends. And so, the suspense builds. Will the writers dare to give Ty one last moment? Will Amy finally get the closure she deserves? Will Lindy be given the chance to connect with the father she never knew? Theories swirl, hopes rise, and doubts linger. But one thing is clear: if Ty does return in the season 19 finale, it will be a moment that defines Heartland for years to come. At the center of all the speculation about Ty's possible return lies one undeniable truth. Amy Fleming's journey is the soul of Heartland. Since season 14, her story has been defined by loss, resilience, and the search for identity beyond her grief. Every choice she has made has been shaped by the absence of Ty. She has learned to be strong for Lindy, to carry on the ranch traditions, and to slowly rediscover her love for working with horses. But beneath all that strength lies a lingering uncertainty, a hesitation. that has kept her from fully embracing the idea of a future without Ty. And this is where the suspense of a season 19 finale grows even sharper. If Ty were to return in some form, through a dream, a vision, or even a powerful flashback, it would not just be about nostalgia. For Amy, it would be the moment that forces her to face her deepest fears and her deepest hopes at the same time. On one hand, seeing Ty again would stir all the emotions she has worked so hard to control, the grief of losing him, the love she still feels, and the guilt of moving forward. On the other hand, it could also free her from the chains of that grief, reassuring her that Ty's love was never meant to hold her back, but to guide her forward. This conflict becomes even more intense when we consider Amy's possible future with Nathan. His growing role in her life has created both curiosity and controversy among fans. Some see him as a potential partner who could help Amy open her heart again, while others feel it's far too soon to imagine her with someone else. If the finale were to feature Ty's presence, it could serve as a symbolic passing of the torch. Ty's return, even if brief, could give Amy the unspoken permission she needs to move forward without feeling like she's betraying his memory. That balance between honoring the past and embracing the future would be one of the most emotional payoffs Heartland has ever delivered. But Amy's internal conflict is only part of the story. The entire Heartland family would feel the impact of Ty's presence. Jack, who has been the unshakable rock of the ranch, would finally have to confront the emotions he has buried for so long. His quiet strength has carried Amy and Lindy through the darkest years, but the truth is, Jack has never fully healed either. A final moment with Ty could break down his walls, revealing the depth of his love and his loss. For Jack, it wouldn't just be about seeing Ty again, it would be about accepting that his role now is to guide the next generation, just as he once guided Ty Lu's response would also be telling. She has always been the caretaker, the one trying to hold the family together when it seemed like everything was falling apart. Ty's return could remind her of how fragile life is, but also how precious family bonds are. For Lu, it might not be about closure in the same way it is for Amy or Jack, but about gratitude. Gratitude for having had Ty as part of their lives, gratitude for the lessons he left behind, and gratitude for the resilience his loss taught them all. And then there is Lindy, the quiet yet powerful heart of the future. A finale that gave her a connection to Ty would not only move fans to tears, but would also anchor the next chapter of Heartland. Lindy has already shown signs of inheriting her mother's gift with horses and her father's steady spirit. A moment where she feels Ty's presence, whether through Amy's storytelling, a dream of her own, or a symbolic encounter, could give her the strength to carry the Borden legacy into adulthood. It would show the audience that even though Ty is gone, his story is not finished, because it continues to live on through his daughter. The finale could also have an impact on the larger family dynamics. With Georgie's anticipated return, her own memories of Ty could resurface. He was one of the first people who believed in her potential, and his influence helped shape her path as an equestrian. Seeing Amy and Lindy reconnect with Ty in the finale could inspire Georgie to embrace her own place within the family once more. Together, they could all be reminded that the bonds created at Heartland are unbreakable, no matter the distance or the years. What makes the possibility of Ty's presence in the season 19 finale so gripping is that it would not just be an emotional reunion, it would be a turning point. It would test Amy's strength, challenge her ability to let go, and remind every character that the past does not disappear. It becomes the foundation for the future. Fans would see not just tears and heartbreak, but hope and transformation. The finale could close the door on years of grief while opening a new one to renewal. And if Ty is part of that moment, then season 19 could become more than just another season. It could become the chapter that redefines the entire legacy of Heartland. As the possible return of Ty moves closer to the finale, the question that lingers in every fan's heart is simple yet powerful. How will the show handle it? Heartland has always been about authenticity, about portraying real human struggles and triumphs. This means that if Ty does come back, the show cannot treat it lightly. It has to be meaningful, layered, and deeply connected to the journey of the other characters, especially Amy and Lindy. His presence cannot be a fleeting guest spot. It has to leave an impact that resonates with the entire Heartland story. And that perhaps is what makes the finale so intriguing. Will it be a happy reunion, a symbolic closure, or a setup for an even bigger journey in the future? Imagine the finale slowly building tension with every scene. Fans might notice subtle signs pointing to Ty's reappearance. Maybe a conversation between Jack and Amy where Jack drops a line that feels strangely hopeful. Maybe Georgie, who knows the pain of loss herself, says something about fate giving second chances. All of these small details could be the writer's way of preparing the audience for a life-changing moment. And then, when it happens, when Ty finally steps back into the picture, it would not only shake Amy's world, but the entire Heartland family. The finale would transform from just another ending into one of the most talked about moments in the show's history. But there is also another path, one just as powerful. The finale may not bring Ty back physically, but could center around his influence instead. Heartland has often shown us that love transcends time and distance. If the finale delivers a storyline where Amy and Lindy feel Ty's presence guiding them through dreams, through memories, or even through their own growth, that too could serve as a perfect conclusion. In this way, the finale would not be about loss or absence, but about carrying forward Ty's legacy. It would prove that even without his physical return, Ty remains a part of the family forever, shaping their choices and their lives. The suspense surrounding the finale lies in this uncertainty. Fans don't know what's coming, but they know it will be emotional, raw, and unforgettable. Will Amy finally find peace, or will the finale open a new chapter in her life with Ty back by her side? Will Lindy's story be tied to her father's return, giving her the bond she has always deserved, or will it focus on how she learns to carry his spirit within her? And how will the other characters, Jack, Lou, Georgie, and the entire Heartland Ranch, react if the man they thought they lost suddenly walks through the door? These questions hang like a storm in the distance, and fans are waiting for the thunder. In the end, Heartland's Season 19 finale has the potential to redefine everything we thought we knew about the show. If Ty returns, it will be a celebration of love, family, and the power of hope. If he doesn't, it will still be a tribute to his journey and the impact he left behind. Either way, the finale promises to touch hearts, spark debates, and leave fans talking long after the credits roll. And perhaps that is the greatest achievement of all, to remind us that true love never fades, and that some stories, no matter how much time passes, remain eternal.